Welcome to the Hilarity Ensues podcast, hosted by Donna, the queen of quick wit, and Jeff, the dean of devious double entendres. Together, they're on a mission to find the funny in life using nothing but their critical thinking skills and sarcasm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hilarity Ensues. I am your host, Donna, and joining me here today is my co-host,
Jeff.
Jeff and Donna are here today. Welcome to the show. Today's show, we are going to talk about true crimes. And the case we're going to start off with, the Laci Peterson case. And Jeff, do you recall that case that this happened, I want to say in the early 2000s, like 2002, 2004, he was convicted. You remember that?
I do remember. I don't remember it super clearly. I do remember she was very attractive. I hope it didn't sound distasteful, but and it sounded, from what the initial findings were, it didn't sound too good for Mr. Scott Peterson, going fishing the day before Christmas on the day his wife missing. And he's like, I don't know what happened, bro. It just, something didn't smell right.
Something in the soup was not good. So I'm going to give everyone that's listening here a real Cliff Notes version of what took place. They were young when they met. They were still in college, actually. And he did what in today's term we would classify as love bombing her. He adored her. He took her places. He traveled with her, and, flowers and candies and the whole 9 yards. And they got married relative. After they got married, they finished off school. She wanted to start a family. He was adamant he did not want to start a family. But somewhere along the lines, he had a change of heart and said yes. And while she was pregnant, I'm sensing from the docu-series that came on, she knew something was wrong, and she might have confronted him. We'll never know. But on this Christmas before she died, December 14th, I want to say to be exact, she had a Christmas party to go to, and he was frequently out of town. And this event on this 14th of December, 2002, he said he had to leave town for business. You know how that goes. Leaving town for business.
What kind of business?
What kind of business? Well, we're going to get to that. So her friends recalled that she came to this Christmas party. She was 8 months pregnant at the time. And she just sat in her chair the entire night. And she wasn't her usual outgoing, extroverted self. So in the meantime, between time, on that date, what we came to find out was that Scott Peterson had a girlfriend, and he went to see her, and he took her to a Christmas party.
Oh, damn.
And took pictures. Big mistake. Took pictures.
Huge mistake.
And told her the week before, a few days before taking her to that party, because she asked him several times if he was married, if he had children, and he said no, he said no, he said no. He said to her eventually, he said, I wasn't quite honest. I had a wife, but I lost my wife.
Oh, damn. Okay.
He said he lost his wife while his wife was still living.
Past tense, huh?
Okay.
Sound like some foreshadowing.
Some foreshadowing there. So fast forward, the Christmas Eve, he called his mother-in-law, and he's like, is Stacy there? No, she's not there. I think she's missing. Just like that. He called another friend. I think she's missing. Now I'm going to pause right here. You live with someone for a number of years? Shucks, you don't have to live with someone for a number of years. You just know your people's routine. Like, I'm 3,000 miles away from you, Jeff. I know that you work remotely a couple days a week. You go to the gym, and if 2 or 3 days, I'll say 2 days pass and I don't hear from you, that's cause for concern.
Right. Yeah. Time to check in.
Time to check in. And when I check in, if you don't answer the phone, now I'm calling your brother. Yo, B, you heard from Jay?
Yeah.
Reach out to your mother. Have you heard from Jay? And that's where the telephone lines. And now everybody would start talking and be like, yo, we haven't heard from him. Have you heard from him? Now we expand out and we invite in the police.
Mm-hmm.
He immediately called one person and said, she's missing.
Yeah.
So that's where he messed up one. He messed up several times. But he went and he purchased a boat. He purchased some equipment to go fishing. And where he took the boat out was 90 miles away from where he lived. And he wasn't a boater before that. He just got a boat. Anyone listening out there, if you've ever owned a boat, you know it's really hard to get it in water, especially if you're not an expert at it.
I've heard some stories. Yeah.
Yes. So he brought it out there, and they found on his search history, he wasn't looking for areas that had snapper, trout, or whatever fish. He was looking for areas where there were high current tides going.
It's a huge red flag right there.
Okay.
Good old internet.
Another flag. So this is a long story, and it's out there on Netflix. There's a 3-part series. If you go on the internet and Google, see all of the old archives. But this is where the news media brought life to this story. Here's where the media brought light to this story, Laci Peterson. They were constantly putting it out there in the news because Scott was not talking to the media at this point. And I remember I lived in Florida at this time. This took place in Modesto, California, and we were hearing about it on the news in Florida, New York. It was nationwide news.
Yeah, it was huge
at this point. One of the reasons why Scott was not in the news and he didn't want to do any interviews is because of his girlfriend. And somewhere along the line, the girlfriend found out what was going on, and she did what I have to salute. She contacted the police.
Yeah.
And told them everything. And why I salute it is because she took a lot of backlash from people. They called her a mistress, a homewrecker. And the fact of the matter is she was completely innocent in all this. She did not know he was married.
Right. And she did ask the question.
And she asked the question
multiple times.
Because here's the deal. And I forgot a couple of things. He didn't want kids, but somewhere along the line, he changed his mind and he decided they're going to have a kid. This woman that he was seeing, she had a child. She had a small little girl. And when she asked him, she said, "How do you feel about kids?" He's like, "I don't want any more. Yours will be enough."
Okay.
While his wife is 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, come on, son.
So
that's Amber Fry, right? Or Frey? How do you pronounce her name?
Amber Frey.
Frey.
I think it's Fry. I think she pronounces it Fry.
Right.
But yeah, Amber, she told the police, and she actually agreed to be wired to talk, to have conversations with him, to submit to the police. And he called her and he's like, "I gotta confess." And she played the role really well with no instruction from the police about how to lead him into conversation and get him to divulge certain things. He never confessed, though, to her that he killed her. And she pressed him. She did a full court press on him. She's like, "You told me that you lost your wife while she was still alive." Now my man is getting into semantics. Well, loss could be a number of different things.
Yeah, I lost her in the mall somewhere.
I lost her in the mall. I lost feelings for, I don't know what his deal. But it ended up going to trial. How it ended up going to trial, because they eventually found her body. And here's where, when I heard this part, I said, there's a special place in the pits of hell for this man. They found her body up in the Bay Area, and a few miles up, it floated ashore. A few miles up on shore, they found the unborn fetus that had expelled from her body.
Wow.
So here's the other red flag. I've seen stories where people have lost their wife or their kids, particularly their kids, and they create somewhat of a shrine. They preserve it. They lost their child in 1986. 2024, and you walk into the room and it's a time capsule. When they first interview him, he's like, I can't go into that nursery room. I can't go in there until he comes back. Then finally news media goes into the home. He got old boxes in there. He got some old furniture and chairs in there. Like, it's like a dump room where you dump stuff into store. That's what the nursery turned into.
Oh, dude. Still claiming innocent too, to this day.
Claiming innocent. When they released the fact that they found the body, what did they do? They had a trace on his phone going, and they also had I guess a tracker on his car. But they found out he wasn't driving his car. He switched cars. Traced his phone to San Diego. Those of you listening, San Diego is like a hop, skip, and a jump across the border to Mexico. And when they arrived down to San Diego, my man dyed his hair, dyed his goatee, and had his brother's driver's license in the car, along with several other credit cards and cash.
That doesn't look suspicious at all.
You don't think that looks suspicious? Don't you travel with large sums of cash and,
My brother's ID?
and your brother's ID
Yeah, all the time,
all the time,
just in case I need to go across the
just in
border
case,
real quick.
because your ID is not good. So
Mhm.
yeah, why not? And they brought him back, and they brought him back to trial. I'm going to fast forward out. Also, they found him guilty. During sentencing, the initial jury sentenced him to the death penalty, but then that was repealed. So he's serving life in prison. But here is the cherry on top of this Sunday, because we are recording on a Sunday. Get it?
Get it?
The Innocence Project is working with him
Come on.
because they believe there was not enough DNA testing done, and a lot of the evidence was circumstantial, and they want to work on his release. I'm stopping right here, Jeff. I can't anymore with these people. I
get
can't.
it. As a guy that likes, evidence, there's just so many things that are, not quite DNA, but there's just too many things that are just not coincidental, and no emotion, no urgency, no distress, or just, I don't remember being too distraught like the rest of the family, and he just had motives. The girl, the side piece. There's so many things. I get it. I understand what they're trying to do, but I don't know. I would probably skip him and go to somebody else with a little bit more, gray area. Because
there's so many people that are sitting in jail. One, for victimless crimes, serving ridiculous sentence. Two, that are sitting in jail over crimes that are no longer considered crimes right now, like marijuana. Marijuana is now legal now, but you have people sitting in jail over marijuana. So I do think that there are other
cases.
There we go.
People.
Other cases, right. People that they can focus on.
Exactly. Scott, we're going to spin the block real quick and handle these couple 100,000 marijuana cases. And if he's still around, we'll get back to you and maybe think about that.
You're not 50 yet. This is a life sentence. We'll catch you on retirement. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I was really saddened to hear that. And I want to say it was May of this year they decided to take this. I don't know how much progress they made. They went to court back in May of 2024. I don't know if a judge laughed in their face and said goodbye or what happened. I didn't research it that far, but it was just so many, like you said, red flags. He had no emotion. He had no feeling of sadness. I mean, you meet people that are married that somewhat like their wives or husbands, and the spouse passes and they go into, a little bit of a depression for a period of time. They're sad for a period of time. And that's in like bad marriages. They display to the world that they had a great marriage.
Yeah.
Obviously not, because he had a woman on the side.
That's so insane. I mean, so many different levels. Yeah, it just didn't seem like he could really care all that much during the search. From what I remember, I mean, I tried to watch part of the special real quick, but I'm gonna have to watch the whole thing because that was a pretty intense case, and it did go on for a while.
Yeah, not much has changed since then. He showed little emotion, and his family. Here's the kicker, because her family supported him up until they found that body. But his family was like, no, we don't think he hurt her. We don't think. No. He could not have done that. So here it is, because I know people kind of ride for their own. Let's say this. Let's say your brother, killed his wife. How would you handle it?
If I knew for sure, or they just thought he did. If I was like pretty, like 98, 99% sure he did it.
He never confesses up to you. He never confesses up to you. But you kind of look at what's going on and you're like, something in the milk ain't clean.
Yeah, I got to call spade to spade. I got to keep it real. I love my bro, but if he did that, that would be bad. I'm like, look, we're going heart to heart. We're going to talk about this.
Okay, I'm curious now. So, would you call him out in private, or would you go on, CNN and say he did it?
I would try to get him to be say it to me face to face.
Okay.
And just do that first. Try to handle it internally.
So he puts you face to face, but he's like, I ain't doing no time. I ain't telling nobody else.
Oh, man. That is tough. I mean, I guess it sounds plausible for me to say that in front of CNN or whoever is in front. But yeah, that's a whole different story. I wanted to cover part of that too. Just the whole news, the pressure, the stress, the neighbors, the different, other elements that we generally don't think about. But yeah, that's just wrong. If you take somebody out, it's just, wrong is wrong, whether it's your family or not.
Well, I'll say this. My sister, if she did it, I probably would have a heart to heart with her, but my mouth would stay shut. When news came and asked me a question, I would be no comment.
No comment. Oh,
I,
okay.
I would disappear from all social media platforms. I would not be doing an interview because one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to lie.
Right. Not gonna lie, but you're not gonna snitch.
I'm not going to say a word.
Yeah.
We're going to have some heart to hearts, and I'm going to, you got to fess up, because the fact of the matter is I do love my brother-in-law. So it would be such a hard thing to kind of maneuver through.
Yeah.
I think that would really fracture our relationship if she did that, if she put me in that position.
Right. Would she still be invited to the cookout though, or the family reunion?
No, because she might kill somebody else. I don't know.
Hope she doesn't listen to this podcast.
I hope so. But she knows I got her back. But no, I can't invite you over if that kills.
Right. No needing two people getting killed.
Somebody. But yeah, so that's. I found it interesting just watching the dynamics of this and how many things he really messed up. And my daughter's watching it, and she's like, you know what? She said that's why men get caught, because they don't think about the details of situations. They don't think about the details.
I don't get why he took a picture with his eyepiece.
But here's the detail my daughter called him out on. He came home from fishing the day she so-called disappeared and went missing. He took off the clothes he was wearing and he threw it in the washing machine and washed it. She said, what man takes off what he's wearing and throws it directly in the washing machine and doesn't add anything else into the mix as well?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Why did those clothes go into a hamper?
Yeah.
Why did he have to wash that alone by itself?
Why? Well, there's some DNA on there.
So you see?
The blood. Yeah.
That's what he should have done, was pulled off some towels, some other clothes, and put them in and made it a full load.
Right.
But it's the details. And she was young. I want to say she was 27 years old. Really, really sad story. And from what I understand, the medical examiner, their assessment as to how she died was that it was a soft deletion, where he probably smothered her in her sleep and took her out on the boat. And the sad thing is she probably didn't see this coming.
Yeah, it is sad. How about all the people in the neighborhood that allegedly saw her the day of? I don't know how much they covered that, but the part I saw, they were talking about that, and they claimed the police didn't follow up on that.
They saw her that day?
The day she went missing, like throughout the day while he was allegedly, at work or whatever he was doing.
He was out on his boat.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things he said is that she went to walk the dog, and a neighbor found the dog on his leash outside and put it in the gate. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, the doctor, she had like a lot of nausea and illness, and when she'd go to walk the dog, she gets sick. So they told her, not kind of bed rest, but not to go out walking like that. So there's so many missing pieces that we'll never know. And sometimes I wish that when people did things like this, they wrote like their mini confession journal, and when they release it so people get closure, stuff like that. But I don't think her family will ever have the kind of closure, because even though he got sentenced to jail, that doesn't bring their daughter back or their grandma.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still there. It got to have him in isolation or something. That's a definite no in prison.
I said every day should be a miserable day for him in there. Like some kind of Ving Rhames dude that says his bunkmate.
Just getting assaulted every day. That's just horrible. But it's that should be his punishment, or one of many.
What other true crimes come to mind that became? And we can't name OJ because we talked about OJ before. But outside of OJ, which actually started court TV, what other true crimes?
We did briefly cover Menendez, bro. That was around the same time, I believe. I don't know much about it, but apparently their parents, according to, I don't know if they had a diary or the court docs, that they were abused by both of them, apparently. And they got gunshots to the head. And then they watched, I think, a Lakers game with literally no emotion the same night. I'm like, how do you blow away your parents and then just chill and watch and eat popcorn at a Lakers game? I think it was a Lakers game. But it was a basketball game. Let's put it that way.
I don't remember much about it. It was so long ago, but I did hear that they were abused by their parent. And what I do remember watching bits and pieces of the case, it looked like they had some mental issues. They weren't quite, and I don't know if that was a result of the trauma they experienced or what have you. But they're serving a very lengthy stay in prison. Going onto the East Coast, going back before this, what was in the news a lot? Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah, that was wild. Oh, it's a Knicks game, by the way. I just had to look it up.
But
yeah, East Coast. Lorena Bobbitt, Mrs. Chop Fu.
Yeah.
Blade. Yeah, she was good with the blades, apparently.
Yeah, she took a number, Cliff Notes version on this. Her husband, I don't know what argument that they had or how she got into the position to do this, but she severed his reproductive member, and threw it out the window.
I'm so squirmy right now, like legit. My legs are moving.
It's a little uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable having to be the police or patrol officer out there in the field looking for somebody else's member.
Oh man! Hopefully they use the glove. They're able to reattach it though.
They were able to reattach it, but I think the reattachment was just for aesthetic purpose. I doubt it was fully functional at that point.
Oh, no, I know he did at least one porno. I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah,
that is insane. That was bad. That was a bad marriage. If you think you had a bad marriage out there, guys, hey, at least you didn't get your junk chopped off.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah,
it could be worse. You could have a spouse that is going to delete you in your sleep and throw your body in the ocean, or you can have a spouse that's going to dismember you. Get it? Dismember,
yeah.
Or the other one, which will make for interesting discussion, back in Long Island, New York, Joey Buttafuoco.
Joey Buttafuoco in the house.
Messing around with a 17-year-old girl, Amy Fisher.
Aye.
And she turned around and shot his wife, Mary Jo Buttafuoco, in the face.
I don't get how the other person is involved. You're doing wrong to the spouse, but then you add insult to injury and then shoot them in the face. I just don't get that line of thinking.
Well, Amy, the 17-year-old girl, shot Mary Jo.
Right. That's the thing. That's crazy. Like, you're already cheating. You're already having your fun with her, hubby. Just have your fun and keep it moving.
Well, I think he was charged with statutory rape because she was a minor.
Right.
So he only did 4 months in jail. She served, I want to say, 7 years in jail for shooting that woman in the face. And that woman was permanently disfigured after that.
How'd that marriage go after that?
She waited for him to come out of jail after 4 months. They moved across to California. Then in Ventura County, California, she served him divorce papers.
Did you get half, right?
He had half. I don't know what he had. I knew he had a garage. I don't know what happened to his assets because this was a very lengthy court trial for him. But yeah, she walked away and she wrote a book about it, the whole incident. So, I'm sure she got a really nice book deal.
So she's able to get some kind of reconstructive, surgery to try to have somewhat of a normal life.
It wasn't that great, the surgery, because her face was really disfigured to the point there was nerve damage. There was only but so much they can do for her.
That's sad. A crazy ass story.
So after watching all this true crime and living through all of these events that took place over the last 20 plus years, what do you think the lesson is in this?
If you are not happy with your spouse, just pick up and go. Get out of there. Use papers. You don't need to use a chainsaw or whatever Scott Peterson used, or a gun or a knife. Just use paperwork. That's all you need.
Here's what I learned. Don't get married.
You don't even want to get that far. Okay.
Don't get married. And if you're already married, you know what? Separate bedrooms.
Right.
That might be the answer here.
That's funny. Yeah. I guess, it prevents everything.
But I'm going to segue here. You know how common separate bedrooms are these days?
They're fairly common.
They're very common. I knew someone that his parents slept in separate bedrooms, like full on outfitted, not like we have a guest bedroom, I'm asleep in it. Mm-hmm. Like they each had their own room.
Right. That's even worse than the Flintstones.
And then I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, I need to buy 2 twin XL beds. And I'm like, for kids? They're like, no, for my parents. I'm like, your parents sleep in separate beds? And he was like, yeah. I was like Lucy and Ricky Ricardo? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay.
That is wild.
But it is common. The person whose parents slept in separate rooms, they complained that I guess one person snored and they couldn't, and the work schedule was different. So that's why they did that. You know, having the nightstand between the two of you, I don't understand, but hey, might as well get bunk beds at that point.
Exactly. Makes them wonder how they got there in the first place. Somebody was sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Something else with an ing.
That might have happened too. What drug is it that does that to you? It's not Ambien. Is it Ambien?
Ambien, yeah, makes some people sexual. I know somebody who takes it, and I always joke with her about it. She said it doesn't give her that effect, but I said, I bet it does. You just don't want to talk about it.
You're like, can I spend the night at your home and find out?
But you don't remember anything in the morning either, usually. You just take it, you go into a deep sleep, you get sexual, and you get up and you just like a normal day, like nothing happened.
I remember when that drug first came to market, you'd hear stories on the news about people like getting in their car and going places and doing things and had no recollection the following morning of what took place.
That should be on the side effect list for sure.
And along with frequent urination, kidney problems, liver problems, palpitating heart, all the other things that they add to it. So, but now that we know true crimes, tell us what you think. If you're listening to this on YouTube, add in the comments what the most interesting true crime that you've ever watched and what your thoughts on were. Or give us your opinions on the whole Laci and Scott Peterson, or if you're familiar with Joey and Mary Jo Buttafuoco, share that with us as well. Any parting words, Jeff, for our listeners?
Yes, whatever you do, if you already made the mistake of getting married, don't be the next true crime.
There we go.
We'll talk about you.
So we want to thank you for, again, joining another episode of Hilarity Ensues. Please make sure. What do they need to do, Jeff?
They need to like and subscribe. They're listening on the podcast, on Spreaker. Listen all the way to the end so we get credit. Also, look for us on IG, YouTube, and TikTok. And also share the show with everyone you know.
That's right. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Hilarity Ensues. Our fantastic music soundtrack is brought to you by TL Music Productions exclusively for Hilarity Ensues. Be sure to connect with us on social media by following Hilarity Ensues Podcast.